couple of weeks ago, I ate a habanero pepper for your amusement on one of these videos. Actually, I ate two. One was for your amusement, one was basically for my amusement. We got nothing out of the second pepper. We described this fusion of formats as the pepper method, and a number of people were curious if it worked. Is it that simple? Can I boost my channel just by eating hot peppers? Is that something that would work for every channel? Are we here at Little Monster going to eat more hot peppers? To answer those questions in order, no, maybe, and no. Fun production note, I was actually going to eat a pepper here as kind of a goof, because I thought I had more peppers in the fridge, and I don't. And I'm not willing to go out and buy more peppers for the bit. So sorry, no more pepper eating. All that said, I do think the pepper method is a worthwhile lesson, even if we're not going to eat ridiculous things in future videos. Let's get into why. First off, how did the video do? And the answer is pretty good. When it first launched on the channel, it was hovering around the 3rd or 4th best out of the most recent 10. It has since fallen to about 5th. When I compare it to videos that I've been a part of, its CTR isn't the worst, but it isn't the best either. It's pretty middling. Same thing's true of average view duration. In fact, that's pretty much the story of every one of its stats. It's neither the most exciting thing that's ever happened, nor is it catastrophic. It did okay. If there's anything extraordinary about it, it's how run-of-the-mill it is. That said, people in the comments were certainly amused at my pain, and I did get a text message from my mother saying that it was one of her favorite videos that I've done for Little Monster, which isn't nothing. My mom has pretty good taste, but it's not necessarily a great statistical indicator of success on YouTube. So does that mean that the video didn't work? Does that mean that the ideas therein are totally garbage and totally worth throwing out? Even worse, does that mean that the YouTube algorithm actually doesn't like the pepper method? Does the YouTube algorithm hate the pepper method? And if we're not gonna do something like that on our channel, why should you do something like that on your channel? Those questions are a little bit more complicated. First off, the pepper method isn't about doing stunts. It's about putting together new and interesting formats for new content on new channels. It was a quick way for us to describe the idea of fusing two different formats together to make something that's more interesting than the sum of its parts, which is kind of a mouthful, which is why we went with pepper method. The pepper method is good shorthand for the notion of coming up with unique, novel, and interesting formats on the platform. What the pepper method doesn't tell you how to do is communicate with an already existing audience, which we have on Little Monster. Little Monster does explain our content. We explain how the algorithm works. We explain best practices to YouTube. People will come here to watch us talk about the algorithm or watch us talk about best practices. They're not coming here to watch me suffer. And yeah, that suffering makes for a funny bit in a one-off video, but it's not actually something that our audience would be into long-term. And leaning too hard into that thing in the long term would sacrifice our main value proposition. And when you sacrifice your main value proposition, yes, the algorithm absolutely does hate that. Because the people who watched your videos in the past are probably not interested in this new content that you're doing, and they're not going to click on it, and then YouTube's not going to show it to anybody else. One of the areas that you can kind of see this on analytics a little bit is actually subscribers, which were lower than usual. When you do something that's radically different from what you've been doing and you see lower subscribers, you're seeing kind of that audience fragmentation happen in real time. People who subscribed and are interested in your content don't like the new direction it's going, and so they start to opt out. All that said, at the end of the day, it was a one-off goof in a video that was still primarily an explainer. It was very funny to film. I'm glad that we did it. We're not going to be doing it again anytime soon. Also, I would like to clarify that we call it the pepper method, and yes, we illustrated it with eating a habanero pepper. It can be any fusion of formats in any topic or style. So what about your channel? Would you get an algorithmic boost from fusing two formats together, or would it likely work against you? But here's some other questions that can help you answer that. Is my audience stagnant? Have my views been going down and down month over month? Am I getting burned out with the kind of content that I'm making? Has my channel struggled to have a clear value proposition? Is the new content that I'd like to make close to the content that I'm already making? If you answered yes to some of these questions, it may be worth experimenting. The pepper method may very well give you an algorithmic boost. Always remember that the audience who watches your videos every time you upload came there for a specific thing. If you stop giving them that and you start giving them something completely different, you'll find that those people start to leave. And at that point, you can kind of confuse the algorithm and it can be hard to generate a new audience. This is kind of a risk, and it's not something that should be taken lightly. But like we said, if you've been struggling, or if you get less than 1 million monthly views, or you're just totally burned out, go ahead and experiment with it, because the stakes are pretty low And if you get a bigger audience from it, then you might just be really excited to transition into the next thing, and then that becomes your channel's new thing. We actually did a whole video about this and about whether or not you should quit a channel and start over completely, and I suggest you take a look. And in the meantime, remember, the most important thing is to give your audience exactly what they want. And if you're trying to make completely new content, the pepper method might help you get there. It's not something for this channel, but if you're making new content or you're looking to switch things up, it is a fantastic thing to keep in mind. And with that, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to leave a like to let us know that you liked it and you want to see more videos like it. I very much encourage you to check out these other videos on audience development, and if you haven't already, subscribe to Little Monster for more videos on audience development every single week. See you next time. Saying the word algorithm is super duper important. Yeah! Can I get that? Can I get my feet up high enough without causing property damage? Yeah, that was it. Pretty late at night, and I should not get my heart rate super up before bed.